Hi, this is Eric Erb from the Eric Erb Show Live. You can find me online at theericerbshow.com and on twitter.com/The Eric Erb Show. And then, of course, where this podcast is coming to you from live, Anchor.fm. Anchor gives you the ability to create your own free podcast. Anchor gives you all the tools. You can submit your podcast once you record it to Apple, to Google, Spotify, all the big companies out there, all the big podcast platforms. Anchor gives you that ability to get your voice out to thousands, hundreds of thousands of listeners. That's Anchor.fm. And you can find me on Anchor.fm/The Eric Erb Show Live. Now let's get right into it. I was reading an article late last night, care of naturalnews.com. Naturalnews.com, I quote an article. It's actually dated January 31st. The headline, of course, is the coronavirus. The count is up to 9,909 with infected. That's infected. So let me back up. So 9,909 infected and 213 dead. The Chinese government decides to sacrifice millions in order to save 11 cities. There's a 1,000% increase in the infections over the last 7 days. So, in other words, it's just it's off the scale. I was also reading there's about every one person out there that comes in contact with somebody that's infected, about 2.68, or let's say round the number to almost 3 other people will get it. For every one person that they'll spread that virus to almost every 2.68 is what they're saying, or about 3 people. So that's incredible. Let me just go over some numbers here. That they're saying right now that are infected by the coronavirus. I have a count again, and this could be off because there's people getting the virus as we speak right now. There are people contracting the virus, or they're carriers. But here are some of the numbers, and this is the global numbers so far I have coming in worldwide. They're saying 9,783 in mainland China have been infected. 19 people in Thailand, 15 people infected in Japan, 13 in Singapore, 12 in Hong Kong, 11 in South Korea, 10 in Taiwan, 9 in Australia, 8 in Malaysia, 7 in Macau, 6 in the United States, at least that we know of. But the mainstream fake news media is not going to tell you how many people really are infected in the United States. I live here in Central Florida, where this podcast is coming to you live. And I was just reading an article today. Somebody said, you might want to take a look at this. There were some kids that had went away, I believe, over to China on some type of trip that came back to on the east coast of Florida. I don't want to say, because I don't want to start a panic, but it's on the lower southeast part of Florida, and they possibly could be carriers and contract the coronavirus. So they have been isolated. They're confined to their homes, and they've been isolated. And I believe that was like 20 students or more. So we didn't think we're out of the woods. We're not out of the woods. This stuff is spreading again. I've used like cockroaches, the theory before. You have one cockroach, and if you don't kill it, the cockroach breeds and multiplies. Suddenly 2 weeks later, holy crap, the cockroach has bred and bred and bred, and there's thousands of millions of cockroaches. They've now taken over your home. So you have to fumigate or bomb your whole entire home, and that's if you're lucky, you'll get rid of the cockroaches the first or second time. So that's how I kind of explain the coronavirus. So anyhow, more of the numbers, 11 people infected in South Korea, 10 in Taiwan, 9 in Australia, 8 in Malaysia. I know I said this before, 7 in Macau, 6 reported supposedly in the United States, 5 in France, 5 in Germany, 4 in the United Arab Emirates, 3 in Canada, 2 in Italy. Those are the numbers that I have right now of the infected people that are infected from this coronavirus that's going around. This is going to affect, again, in these numbers, China has quarantined, imprisoned / quarantine. They're calling it quarantine, but imprisoned 56 million people, citizens over in China. This is going to, obviously, this is affecting the world. Means that we just had, and they're extending the Chinese New Year holiday. So this is going to last, I believe, till February 6th, if I am not mistaken. So people are getting away from China. They're leaving China. They did before they started locking down, quarantine the country of China. So guess what? You have 5 million people that got away. I don't mean to be mean, got away. They just got the hell out and made their plans, their travel plans, before they started all these major lockdowns, supposedly, or quarantines. So long story short, I really, really, really feel this is a major pandemic. I would advise anybody here in this podcast to please, please, please definitely pay attention to the news. Follow this podcast. Listen to the news. The news you're going to get from the WHO, World Health Organization, that's going to be tamped down or tapped down. In other words, that's not, excuse me, they're not going to go over the real figures that they're having in the World Health Organization. They don't want to start a damn worldwide panic because we already have a pandemic, but they don't want to make it any more worse where people are killing each other, rioting in the streets and all crazy types of crap and shit like that. They don't want to start that. Bottom line is they're going to keep coming out, as the World Health Organization famously does, giving us false narratives, false hopes. And the bottom line is, folks, we don't have a cure for this. And the bottom line is we need help. We need prayers right now, and pray to God Almighty that they can come up with a cure that won't kill half of the population, half the world in the process. But we really need any time right now. And I don't know if anybody out there is religious or not, but you really need to start praying for divine intervention here. We all do. The world does, because this virus has a potential and has already spread to almost 3/4 of the world right now. This virus will spread everywhere on the planet. And right now, because they can't detect it for at least 2 weeks, the signs don't show up till at least 8 to 10 to 14 days after a person's become infected, and you don't even know it for a week or week and a half. I mean, what kind of crazy stuff is this? But this is the way the virus was engineered, geoengineered. And again, we know who caused it. It was the Chinese, their carelessness in the lab. The WHO isn't saying that, but the fact of the matter is that's the bottom line. It was their carelessness. It was their recklessness. They're experimenting, and they got something they can't handle, and the Chinese government is doing anything and everything. They're in conjunction, and they're covering up, along with the United States, the press over here, the Chinese press, and the World Health Organization, the WHO. They're all in bed together. They're covering this damn shit up because they don't want people panicking, is the bottom line. So this is Eric Erb from The Eric Erb Show. You can find me online at theericerbshow.com. You can find me also on Twitter, twitter.com/The Eric Erb Show. And you can find me on anchor.fm. That's anchor.fm /The Eric Erb Show live. And I would love to have you, if you like this podcast and you like the podcast and you like the message, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Why not donate and be able to keep the message going, so we can keep the message going and I can keep getting it out to hundreds of thousands of people out there, because people have to hear the truth. They're sick and tired of being lied to. This is global pandemic now. This is what you call, folks. You don't do something, you're going to shit your pants. Matter of fact, you might not even be around to shit your pants anymore, because this is how bad it's spreading. If we already there's a possibility we have some cases here in Florida. If it's here in Florida, I know it's in Chicago, it's in Seattle. There's cases out in New York, cases out in California, Texas. It's hitting the states. Shit is hitting the fan. All we can do now is pray and pray to God Almighty. This is Eric Erb from the Eric Erb Show Live, signing off.